Welcome back to Patrick Christie's tonight. Now, Reform UK MP Lee Anderson has lashed out at the Met Police after a man who made direct death threats against him on X only received a caution. The 53-year-old man who posted that Anderson's time was up and that he was going to track him down and kill him was arrested but never charged. Instead, he was just given a police caution. So, writing to the Reform UK MP to explain the decision, Detective Sergeant David Cryan said, "I have no reason to think the threat was real or viable as a threat to kill. The gentleman in question is a 53-year-old autistic man who has never been arrested before. He's got no previous convictions and is a carer for his elderly mother." Well, this comes after a man was jailed for 3 years back in March for threatening to kill the Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband. Which certainly begs the question, what's the difference between Lee Anderson and Ed Miliband, apart from the obvious? Well, Lee Anderson, I'm very pleased to say, joins us now. Lee, thank you very, very much. Do you think that if the likes of Yvette Cooper, for example, had received this kind of threat, that person would have been given a caution?
Yeah, I think this person would have probably had their doors kicked in, Patrick, and dragged out, chucked in the van and taken away for some probably serious questioning. Another thing which I've not told you about this case, this was a case picked up by our parliamentary team here in Westminster, and I wasn't made aware of this threat by the police until a month after this threat. So, I mean, this man could be lurking around in London. He's made a vile threat against a member of Parliament, and it's took a month for police to actually inform me. You know, we're on red alert, some of us MPs are. Patrick, we're always looking over our shoulder, worried about getting to work, and especially in the city as well with things that go off. And I just don't think it's good enough. I don't think they're taking the safety of certain MPs from certain political persuasions seriously enough. Like you just said, I mean, Ed Miliband had a threat, and we know what happened there.
The police said that there's mitigating circumstances here. The individual who, you know, we're not going to name is apparently autistic. He's never committed a crime before. He looks after his elderly mother. I mean, do you buy any of that?
No, I mean, what sort of boxes is he ticking there? So if you're autistic and you look after your mother, you're quite within your rights to go out and threaten to kill somebody. It's absolute nonsense. It's weakness, it's spineless, it's pathetic, it's two-tier policing. We know this, Patrick.
So you honestly think this is a prime example of out-and-out two-tier policing? If they say, the police officer in question says he doesn't believe for a second that this was a viable threat, Lee. I mean, he has actually literally said to you he's going to kill you.
Well, I mean, this is not for the police to make this decision, Patrick. A court should make this decision. It should go to the CPS. He's made a threat to kill. It's as simple as that. But you've got to look, Patrick, what's happening in and around London. We've got a useless mayor who is the police and crime commissioner. And people like me who tend to speak their mind, who are from a different part of the country, probably went to a different school. They don't like people like me, especially the Reform Party. So we're fair game. It's OK to say these vile, nasty things to Reform UK MPs, but if it's a Labour MP, you know, the police are knocking on your door, you slap the old bracelets on and you put away.
Do you feel like it's a matter of time before something very serious does happen to someone like you or Nigel Farage?
Well, I've had a meeting today with Parliamentary Security. I'm going on to a newly formed committee, which is going to be overseen by the Speaker of the House to talk about MP security. And the point I made, Patrick, today in two different meetings with security in Parliament is, if there's no consequences to people's actions, you can put all the security measures in place in the world. If there's no consequences to lunatics like this making threats to kill, then they will keep doing it. And
you're continually looking over your shoulder, are you?
Continually. Every single day, Patrick. You never know. You know, when people's coming up to you in the street, is it Lee Anderson, blah, blah, blah. You never know if that's the one who's going to have a real pop at you. So, yeah, it is worrying, Patrick.
And it puts people off going into politics, right? It does that and everything else, frankly. But, Lee, look, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing the situation. And thank you for coming on the show and making the time for us this evening. Look after yourself.
Thank you.
Obviously, you take care. Lee Anderson there, Reform UK MP. We approached the Met Police for comment. They are yet to respond, but there we are. Organisers of festive fairs across the UK fear that they could eventually die out because of excessive security measures implemented due to the threat of Islamist terrorism. So back in November, Manchester Police confirmed that the presence of armed police officers will be heightened around the Christmas markets, urging visitors to remain vigilant at all times. Why could that be, I wonder? Well, Surrey Police have now said the same thing today, reassuring the public this is all part of routine foot patrols. Well, it's not, is it? I'm sorry, it's not routine. And in Bath, bollards such as these were put up outside the market to prevent vehicle access to the surrounding roads. I wonder who might be driving those vehicles. This all comes as Germany's security agency last week said Christmas markets could be a target for those with, oh, here we go, Islamist motives, due to its symbolism of Christian values and Western culture. Look, I mean, come on, is it time that we just fronted up to the fact that we've got a massive problem? And it's not normal, really. It's not normal to have armed police while you're at a Christmas market. And we should be calling out for what it is. It's the threat of jihadis, isn't it? Joined now by the former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office, Chris Phillips. Chris, thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. It's a bit offensive, I find this. Your police force is like Surrey Police Force. You know, I'm glad that if there is a threat, they're doing the armed police, because I'd like them to shoot the jihadi. That's fantastic. But when you turn comments off on Twitter and when you lie to us and say, oh, this is being weaponised by the far right, well, it's not, is it, Chris? There's obviously an Islamist threat here.
There's a very real Islamist threat across the UK and across Europe, and there has been for a number of years. And in actual fact, now at this moment, it's the threat level in UK is substantial, which means an attack could happen at any time. I think the issue is this: Christmas brings out the crowds. We have seen a series of attacks on Christmas markets right through Europe. And, of course, it's sensible for policing to do something about that. The difficulty is, Patrick, is we've lost all our community officers. Those officers that used to walk up and down Guildford High Street in a Bobby's helmet, they just aren't there anymore because they've been taken away to do other things. And one of those things they've been taken away to do is the firearms policing. So if you want a Bobby to be walking up and down, it seems to be now that the only choice is with a machine gun.
Yeah, and it also just feels, again, like this perception of cover-up, right, which is this idea of, like, oh, don't worry, that armed police officer at your Christmas market, oh, it's fine, don't worry about them. It's all completely normal. You know, James Cleverly releasing a video last Christmas, where it was like, he's walking around Winter Wonderland or wherever he was, and it's like, oh, OK, now, if you do happen to see a bag that's ticking, then make sure that you report it to this. We just call it out for what it is. They're not there to protect us from radical Mormons, are they?
No, absolutely. And 75% of MI5's jobs are about Islamist terrorism. There's no doubting that. You're right, it's politically difficult to talk about that, it seems, but it is the main issue. And it's not going to go away, Patrick. It's going to be here for years and years to come.
Well, also, for those people, with absolute respect, those people who talk about what a tremendous success multiculturalism has been in Britain, and there are many examples of it being brilliant, OK? But one of them is not having to have armed police officers while you want to go and get a mulled wine and a mince pie from, you know, I mean, good grief. Like, Guildford Christmas market. If that is now a target for jihadis, and I'm sorry, but something has gone badly wrong in Britain, hasn't it? And politicians, I think, need to front up to that.
Yeah, they do. And it's not just Britain, Patrick. If you go to Europe, any city in France, you'll see troops of soldiers walking around with firearms. I mean, you know, literally in a line of 6, walking around with their guns and the machine guns out. So this is a problem that we have imported. It's an issue that we have to face. It's, as I say, it's not going to go away. The biggest mistake here, though, is that we've really done our police down so badly that there's really not enough resources to do the proper jobs of community policing, as well as these firearm teams.
I want to make it very clear. I am blooming grateful that we've got firearms officers in this country. I am immensely grateful. I'd have more of them. I'd have loads more of them. I'd have loads more of them. I just think it's a massive shame that we have to. I think it's a massive shame that we have to now at your local... It's a crying shame. People should ask themselves this now, seriously. Even those people who are a bit on the fence about some of the issues that we talk about a lot on shows like this and on GB News. If you are planning on going to a local Christmas market this winter, do you, if you've got young kids, does the thought enter your head when you get there, how do I get out of here if a jihadi drives a car through there? Then maybe ask yourself if we've gone a bit wrong as a country. But Chris, look, thank you very much for coming on tonight. It's tremendous, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas. Anyway, you take care. All right, take care. There's Chris Phillips there, who's the former head of the National Counter-Terrorism Security Office. Look, coming up, we've got more of tomorrow's newspaper front pages. They have just landed. There's some big breaking news tonight. It is the BBC's Greg Wallace. The allegations have gone up a notch. They are just allegations. He does deny them all, but they are quite sensational, and I'll bring those to you very shortly. Oh, and what's going on here? Yeah, all that and much more very soon. Don't go anywhere.